In this next tutorial, we're going to take a look at the primitives, but we have to set up our drawing environment first. We're going to be learning first how to use our timeline to create a longer timeline and to create keyframes. In order to start drawing, we want to go to frame 5 and start drawing. The problem is right now there's nothing on frame 5, so we can't go there. So we need to extend our timeline out to fit. So I'm going to go to frame 60 and click and drag all the way up, and that will select all those frames, and now right click and choose Insert Frame. What we've done is we've extended our timeline to 60 frames long, which means now we have a lot of more keyframes that we can use, or a lot of other places that we can create keyframes for drawing tools. What we're going to do is we're going to create keyframes so that we can create new content. So at frame 5, I'd like you to right click and choose Insert Blank Keyframe. What we've done is we've removed everything from frame 1 so that when we get to frame 5, we're ready to draw with completely new information. Now we're also going to change the text that we have on this task layer. So I need to unlock that layer, and this time we're going to right click and choose Insert Keyframe instead of Blank Keyframe. Now what Insert Keyframe does is you'll see it creates a new black keyframe versus a blank keyframe. A blank keyframe means that there's nothing visual at all on that frame. A black keyframe indicates that there is. If you click on that frame, notice over in your properties that frame is selected, but it also selected all the objects that are on that layer. Now you can click on that object again, and you'll see your properties have changed to reflect the type of object they have selected. So this is a really important task in Flash as well, is to realize that there's a big difference between clicking on a keyframe and showing your properties in your panel versus clicking on the objects that are on that keyframe, and you'll see that my properties change to reflect that. Now because of the fact that we have a new keyframe, we have completely different data. Even though it's copied from the keyframe before, I can now double click on that text and change it to what I want, which is going to be primitives. Now let's go ahead and click on the drawings layer, and we'll be ready to draw information. Whoops, we might want to go to the black arrow and then click on drawings, and we can even click on that keyframe to make sure that we're there. And now we're going to actually be drawing on this new section. So in order to go to the primitives, what we want to do is go look at our rectangle tool, and our rectangle tool is a typical primitive. You click and drag, and of course we have our shape layer versus our object layer. Then we also have what's called an oval tool, and you want to be aware with all these tools that you have different modifying keys you can use. If you hold down the Shift key, it will constrain it so that you have a circle or a square, and you can also hold down the Alt key when you drag to draw from the center. You can hold down the Alt and the center, the Shift key, to do a square or circle from a center point. And I think it's always important to use the Shift key. You also have the rectangle and oval primitive tools, which are really quite cool. And these tools are different because if you look at them, you'll notice that they always draw in object mode. And you'll notice if you go back to the black arrow, you have these dots up here, and these dots allow you to interactively change things such as your rectangle options for your outer radiuses. You can even unlock these, which is kind of cool. And if I click on that, you'll see they're unlocked. Now I can actually change them so that different corners have different properties. Now we also have the oval primitive. If I click on that, we can change this object as well, which is quite cool. And so these are great tools to start working with because they're interactive and you can change them later. Now you can always convert a primitive to an object, or rather to a shape. And all you have to do is right click and choose Break Apart or use Control B. The problem is once they're a shape, you'll notice that we have the dot pattern and you don't have any of the interactive ability to change those objects. Let's go ahead and save our file and go on to the next tutorial.